Hello, everyone. This is Attack the Backlog, the podcast where I, Mark Nez, tries to make a dent in their backlog one game at a time. This episode is all about Bang On Balls: Chronicles, a quirky, absolutely content-packed, destructible open-world sandbox adventure with combat, platforming, character customization, and collectathon scavenger hunt experience. Play solo, two players, split screen, or online co op with up to 4 players. No paid cosmetic DLC nonsense. That was taken from the Steam description. I'm doing that now. I'm thinking, why don't we throw in a little official description with our games? This is more than anything in that description. This is a collectathon 3D platformer where you play as a ball in a world of balls that are dressed up as Vikings or spacemen or kaiju, so on and so forth. And it's quite charming, but it's also incredibly simple in its design, in that you are this ball that is starting work at this movie production company, and you go on to this backlot. You start the game, you go in, get your name tag, you go through the backstage area, then you end up in the backlot with four at launch. When the game originally came out, you had 4 worlds to explore, 4 different, not movie themed worlds, but you have your stages of these 4 areas. A Viking themed world, Viking medieval, a piratey kraken themed area, a kaiju big monster Japan themed world, and then a space themed world. With future DLC, they added a Wild West themed world. And in each of these, you're just going around discovering little Easter eggs, going through all the nooks and crannies to discover this little quirky thing, that little quirky thing, collecting a whole bunch of stuff. And that's all you're doing. You do have tasks. There is an objective with each world that you're asked to do, whether it is in the Kraken themed one, the pirate themed one, where you do these various things on different islands to eventually summon the Kraken and then defeat the Kraken, and you've completed that world. Or in the Viking themed one, you summon, I don't know if you were summoning Thor as a giant ball boss, but you summon in this big boss at the end, defeat it, and you've completed that area, and so on and so forth. In the space themed world, you are setting up the rocket to lift off, and then you ride it up to the moon or something, fight a boss fight there, then get blasted out of there and finish that world. It's a very, again, simple 3D platformer that is more so about being in these worlds, collecting things all over the place, than asking you to do precise platforming. There are moments where you might have to be a little bit more skillful, but it just wants you to experience the world and enjoy being in the world. It feels very much so like a game that is designed to give you a good time. It just wants you to have a good time. It's not asking you to bring your best skills to the table or anything like that. It just wants you to enjoy yourself. And I'm sure if you had friends to play with, whether local or online, it would be a blast. If you don't have friends to play with, there are certain parts of the worlds that require an additional person to activate, and you could pay a little bit of in-game currency that you earn. It's very cheap too when they ask for these things, but you can pay to have an AI stand on the other weighted spot in the world something like that to activate this or that. But I had a really good time with the game. It is a good breather style game between meatier, more intensive games. So if you play something like, to go back to something I played recently, or also Death Stranding or The Last of Us Part 2, if you want something that is a bit of a cool down in between these meatier games or more emotionally intensive games or so on and so forth, this is a really nice in between. Because again, it's not asking a lot of you. I think the worlds are quite lovely. The only one I don't particularly enjoy, or it was very clearly the worst, less interesting one of the bunch, was the space one, which is all taking place on this kind of Russian feeling space. I don't even know. It just is very industrial and not visually interesting. There's not too much variety to it. It's not exciting to explore that world. Whereas when you get to the pirate world with the Kraken, you unlock boats and can now move around this environment. It's a much larger. And one of the nice things too about these worlds is that they will introduce and have their own unique elements. The Wild West area has a lot of rails for trains, obviously, but you can grind on those rails, and that is a new mechanic that feels really good. In the Kaiju world, you will end that world by turning into a giant mech type ball and fighting against a giant Godzilla, essentially, eventually, which is fun. It's just a fun game that I think would also be very, very good for adults playing with their kids because there's a lot going on in the world. So it's very visually stimulating. There are a lot of particle effects, a lot of little physical gags because these are balls. They're not talking, they're not speaking in English. I don't even remember if there's any kind of dialogue at all. Not obviously voice, but even written. So it's all very physical in its humor, which is reminiscent of the early Lego games. I wouldn't say it's as funny as those could get, but it has a bit of that charm to it. So I think if you remember that, if you want to taste that, I think Bang on Balls is great for that. And the game feels good. The actual platforming, the maneuvering around, you attack typically by charging, doing like a dash attack into something. And in that case, that is probably where it's weakest from a gameplay standpoint. When you're fighting these bosses, you're just kind of constantly ramming into them over and over and over again. You hit them, you get knocked back a little bit from the momentum, and then you do it again and do it again and you do it again. And it's repeated. It's kind of dull, but overall, it's just a joy to be in the various worlds and take in all they have to offer. If you aren't a fan, though, again, of the more collectathon type 3D platformers, this is not your game because that's you're thrown into these small ish open worlds, and you have again your handful of objectives to complete the world. But really, to get the most out of the game, you go into the world and you just freely explore. You just go see something in the distance, you go to it, and you'll unlock this, you'll unlock that, you collect this, you collect that, and then you see something else, and you're just constantly going to wherever your eye is drawn to next. You're not following a linear path. You can, I guess, if you just look at the objectives that the game, the area wants you to do, you can just go after that. But that takes away a lot of what the game has to offer, which are these incredibly dense worlds full of so many things to find, so many little Easter eggs. Not exactly Easter eggs, but there are little jokes, little gags sprinkled throughout the entirety of each and every world that I just had an absolute joy playing it. It was very, very nice, and I like that it has these 5 worlds that are very, very unique, very distinct, that are all great in their own various ways. And like the description said, you can customize your ball, you can put hats on them, you can doll them up with various get-ups that, in some cases, will give you additional abilities. For instance, when I unlocked this ketchup and mustard kind of utility belt thing, and I think it might have had one of those kind of like beer drinking hats, maybe, but I'm not sure if it went that far. But when I put on this utility belt of mustard and ketchup, it basically gave me this kind of jetpack that I could, for a short period of time, expel the mustard and ketchup out from the bottles, and it would propel me up so that I could reach greater heights. I had my natural platforming abilities, but when I put on this outfit, I was able to do more. They have weapons you get, and in some cases, they might give you additional fighting abilities, whether it be a gun that you can actually shoot projectiles out instead of just ramming into enemies, or a sword that'll give you a special ability. Or if you just want something cosmetic, you can hold a beer as your weapon, and it's going to do nothing, but you look kind of cool. I played through a lot of the game wearing this cloak with a skull mask, holding a big old mug of beer. Why? Because it looked cool. Did it give me any abilities? No. But when I got that mustard and ketchup thing and put that on, I was like, yeah, now I can get anywhere. So there's not that much to say about the game other than I think it is very delightful. I love the look of it. I love the way it plays. I love the worlds and how full they are of things to do. And yeah, I just think it's a very delightful. It doesn't take too long either. You could get through the game pretty quickly if you wanted to, but if you do find yourself getting lost in the worlds, wanting to explore every inch of each and every one of them, 100% in all of them, you can spend a fair amount of time in it. But that's going to do it for this year episode of Attack the Backlog. Again, about bang on balls. If you want to bang on some balls, there's no better way to bang on them than in Bang on Balls: Chronicles. Anywho, that is going to do it for this episode of Attack the Backlog. Once again, I am Marcus Nez. Y'all can find me pretty much everywhere at PX Sausage. If you enjoy this here show or any of the stuff I do and what have you, you can support me and my nonsense over at patreon.com/PXS. There you can get access to the Sausage Dump, where I talk about this, that, and whatever, as well as a private Discord channel and some fancy Discord roles, depending on your tier, of course, or you could just support me to support me if that is your fancy. That is, again, patreon.com/PXS. In addition to the Patreon, you can find links to the site, the YouTube, the Discord, and so much more over at pxsausage.com. That is the letter P, the letter X, sausage.com. But that is it. That is all. As always, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoy this here episode, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. But for now, adios, arrivederci. Bye, bye.
It's go time.